Hey everybody, I'm David with Bolivar Live, and once again I'm here with Landon. And Landon came to me a couple weeks ago and said, David, let's do a different show, which we've done a bunch of different shows. Chandra with Aran and Franklin is with us, and we're going to talk a little bit different from a contractor's standpoint and an engineer standpoint about some products. Not just products, but if you're buying a used home, some things you might want to look at down the road as far as when the home was built, to what standard it was built, and where the homes are now and what they're using now, because there's actually a big difference from the building engineering standpoint, where it all starts, to the building standpoint, and products evolve. And in today's market, products are really evolving quick. I mean, like Landon goes to the builders show every year, and every year he brings something new back to the Peninsula that they use on the show. So Landon, this is more or less your show. Let's run with it. I'm just going to listen.
So the way this all came about is we were talking a couple weeks ago about hurricane preparedness, and then that kind of goes back into the engineering side of things, and that goes well above my head, my profession, right? We do what the engineers require for us to do, and we try to do that the way they want it done. But it goes back to when we see some of these older homes, when we're doing some remodels. We've talked about doing remodels and storm prep and different things like that. I really wanted to kind of get someone from Aran and Franklin, who better to get than the voice itself, right? And just kind of talk about, like, as we're looking at homes that need to be remodeled, if we're talking about homes that may be purchasing or purchased that may need some upkeep or updating, what that looks like from not only the builder side of things, but also the engineer side of things. Because yes, it may have a WPI 8, but I go to a lot of these places, and the hold downs are rusted out, and what do we do to get these back up to code? And are the windows impact rated, or are the doors impact rated? And when we change those things out, or if we are going to change them out, what does that process look like? And it involves Aran and Franklin for us, because that's who we use on the Peninsula and even inland. And I just wanted to kind of just get this out there so that when people are thinking about buying and upgrading, because we're coming into that winter time where we talk about remodel time, this is something we need to talk about, think about, and kind of put into place.
One of the things that caught my attention, and I think we touched on it the other week before we were recording, was, beachfront homes take the brunt of everything. And you had made a comment about, on your houses, you use a 3-point lock system versus just a door to get by. That can make a big difference from my standpoint, an outsider, but what's that mean from an engineering standpoint? And that's just one of the things that I really thought about and said, that is a big part.
The multi-point locking system, being in the door molding business for 9 years, was something that I knew about from then. And then it's really evolved a little bit more and greater. You get to the impact doors, it's code. I mean, let's just go ahead and say it. It's code. You got to have it. But when you go to the multi-point locking system, and just having 3 points of lock, especially on like an 8-foot door, just kind of gives you that security. But whenever you're talking about the pre-existing homes, and going in there and trying to do some remodeling and stuff like that, we got to be careful, because we don't want to change the exterior structure and what was already engineered. And so talk to us about like what it looks like whenever you need to change out the hold downs or any type of strap or a window or a door. What does that look like? How do the homeowners need to be approaching this?
So if you're going to change out a window or a door, the first thing you want to do is definitely get the pressure requirements, and that may have changed since it was put in. So they can't necessarily put back in the exact same thing that they put in the first time. The code changed in 2020. TDI upgraded to the 2018 code that put us under a different wind code, and so the design is just a little bit different. The beachfront houses are now what we call an exposure D, which is a higher exposure category. So that means that the pressures on the beachfront stuff is going to be higher. Before, they were designed to a C, so the C is more inland. So the D used to be in the water. So any marine structures, piers, things like that. Now D is the first 600 feet from the beach. So
that may take up the first 2 rows.
That's right. So
600 foot from Mena high tide's typically the 3rd or 4th row.
So the design is changed just a little bit. So the very first thing we have to do is evaluate what are we going to do as far as pressures. Then that will tell you what products need to be installed. The other thing is you were talking about impact protection. That's so important because a lot of people, if they put in a non-impact windows, they had a shutter system, maybe it's a roll-down shutter system, maybe it's a fabric shield, maybe it's a plywood shutter. Well, those plywood shutters have been built a shed downstairs. Now they're not really functional. So I always encourage people to install impact windows because you never know if you're going to be here or not.
Yeah.
You never know when these storms are going to hit. You may only have a couple of 3 days if it's something that just was nothing and then all of a sudden it's something. And do you want to spend your time to come down here to secure that property, or do you want to just know that every time I lock the door and walk away, it's good?
Yep.
So you can have somebody come pick up your outdoor furniture if you need to, but you don't want to worry about shuttering the whole thing.
We talked about that the other day with storm preparedness, Dave, is like if you're Houston, Beaumont, Dallas, wherever you are, that storm rolls in, you don't really have time to get back down here. You're trying to
and
go
get
down.
out.
Yeah, and because you're trying to get your stuff back home situated as well.
Right.
Because, we've seen it, Harvey and different ones that come in through into the Houston area, Beaumont area, whatever, and they're affecting people,
Far
90
inland.
miles inland.
Right.
And you can't get back down here to get that.
Well, a lot of the times you might be able to get down here, but it's getting out of here.
Yeah.
And then you've got to worry about gas. And in Beaumont, you may be getting your house ready down there. So this is going to be a multi-point show, and we've really just touched the very tip of it on what's going on. And so over the next 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to be talking more and more about different aspects. We've touched on the front doors and windows, a little bit on tie downs, and I'm sure we're going to get to roofs and siding too. And so make sure you come back next week to see what exactly the topic is. Y'all, thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week with part 2 on this series, and then maybe part 3. Until next time, I'm David with Bolivar Live. Y'all have a great day, great week. Come see us. God bless, and bye-bye. Video equipment is sponsored by Crystal Beach Decor and More, located at 1959 Highway 87 in Crystal Beach, Texas, and Beachy Beatnik Boutique and Jewelry, located at 970 Surfside and Highway 87 in Crystal Beach, Texas. Thank you to these 2 businesses for being our 2025 video equipment sponsor for Bolivar Live.